We have now a very important guest from Poland that will help us to enter into the real topic of our conference today. Professor Danuta Klowska, I hope the pronunciation is okay. She's head of the Department of Architecture, Heritage and Art of the Warsaw University of Technology. And her research focuses on the protection of the environment and on the cultural landscape, targeting in particular the preservation of historic towns and districts. So she's very on the topic of today. She's vice president of the International Committee for Historic Towns and Villages, and since 2011, she's the chair of the Central and Eastern European Towns and Village Subcommittee. So, dear Professor Klowska, can you tell us about the role that the international charters and documents play for the preservation of historic districts? The floor is yours. You should unmute. You are muted. Professor Klosek, you are muted. We cannot hear you.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's okay.
Here you are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for such a long presentation. But first of all, I would like, I am very impressed of activity of ROCHEMP Center. It's very interesting, very good, very forward to the future activity. So it's also worth to follow and to see how it will be developed in future. My subject is the historic city preservation in the international charters and documents. It is not so exciting subject, but I will do my best, and I think that it will be not borrow. I try to be as short as possible. So now I will to share the screen with you. This is presentation. Also, it was not possible to fulfill the layout which Alessia sent to me. So sorry of different, a little bit different. I have done it very, very simple, but at the beginning I have to present to my books, because you see that my heart is always in Italy, because one book about the preservation of urban heritage and planning and urban planning has on the cover has a beautiful fresco from San Agostino, from San Gimignano. It is a fresco of Benotto Gozzoli. And the second book, which is bilingual, so it is possible to read it also in English. It is Heritage of the City's Preservation and Development. So it is a concept how preservation could be and could play the role in development of the city. So so sorry for this, but maybe starting from this subject, I would like to show you what will be a small shadow of this presentation. What I will be talking about, it is only 5, but very crucial for our topic, international documents and also charters. It is the first, it is the Warsaw Recommendation for the Protection of Historic and Traditional Complexes and their role in modern life. It is a very important document adopted by the UNESCO General Conference in Nairobi in 1976. The second will be the Toledo Charter, of course, not known for everyone who is interested of cities. It is a charter for the conservation. It's not a good term, but it is an old term, conservation of historic towns and urban areas, adopted by the UNESCO General Conference and in Washington in 1986, 87. So sometimes you know, probably know it as a Washington Charter. The third document is very interesting also because it is a result of a long-term joint work among the members of the scientific committee for historic towns and villages. So we were working on the Valletta principles about 3 years, if I remember well. And this is, it's called the Principles for Safeguarding and Management of Historic Cities and Urban Areas. And it was adopted by ICOMOS General Assembly as always. In Paris this time in 2011. So as you see, it is quite new document, and also in the same conference was adopted another very important document for historic towns and villages. This is historic urban landscape, very interesting document. And at the end, I will show you some goals, very important goals of the United Nations Agenda 2030, which is dedicated of sustainable development. So starting the presentation of international legislation in the field of urban preservation with the Warsaw Recommendation, I started from this recommendation because the post-war experiences in Poland at the beginning of rebuilding process was strongly connected to the preservation of historic towns and monuments conservation with urban planning. So this was to stress the role of Poland in this discussion at international level was very important. The recommendation, Warsaw Recommendation, developed in Warsaw and adopted by the UNESCO in Nairobi, hence officially, as I said, known as the Nairobi Charter, includes and underlines recommendations for the protection of historic and traditional complexes and their role in modern life. It is also very, very important that it's the role in modern life. So at the beginning, it was focused on the contemporary city life.
Professor, sorry to interrupt you. We can hardly hear your voice. Could you please keep your microphone closer?
I have very close as I can because it is here. But of course,
if you can bring it a little bit closer, it will work better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would like to. Yes, it's maximum. So sorry, maybe my voice is not in a good condition today, but it's better. It's better, or not so much. Maybe I should try.
Yeah, when you keep it closer to your mouth.
Yes, I will do it now. So this is some statement of this recommendation, but I don't want to read it. Would like only say that the document recalls also some earlier formulated UNESCO documents, among them very interesting, who is interested in recommendation concerning the safeguarding of the beauty and character of landscapes and sites. And it was formulated in 1962. So it is interesting that today we are coming back to the perception of space also through this point of view, which was formulated so early in 1962. One of the general principles of this recommendation in point 2 is that historic districts area and their surroundings should be regarded as a forming in replaceable universal heritage. So it is also some message very interesting contemporary. The second charter is the Toledo Charter for the Conservation of Historic Towns and Urban Areas, named Washington Charter. The same situation was elaborated in Toledo in Spain by the members of CIVIC. It is also worth to stress that the Scientific Committee of Historic Towns and Villages was very active to formulate this document, this international document. And what is important in this document, that urban planning is an efficient tool for preservation of values of historic towns. This is important, very, and also new in this time. This document underlines qualities which should be preserved. I will return to this point later. Residents, first of all, it is the first time when international document said that conservation of historic towns and urban areas concern the residents first of all. And it is very important also if we are very concerned of public domain and public participation in all conservation activity. It is the beginning of such thinking about is just in the Toledo Charter. So we have to have in mind of this. Also important, avoid dogmatic approach, because each town is an individual example and needs individual approach. So we don't have unique rules. We don't have rules which can be alive for a very, very long time. The Charter explains also with principles that, that in order to be most effective, the preservation of historic towns and historic urban areas should be an integral part of coherent policies of economic and social development and of urban and regional planning at every level. It is also important because it is a turning to the planning in every level of plans. It exists in legislation, in country legislation. And turning to the qualities, what should be preserved? Urban patterns, the relationships between buildings and open spaces, greens, etc. The formal appearance, this is exterior, interior of buildings and defined by scale, size, style, construction material, color, and decoration. So it is also this formal appearance very important. The relationships between the town or urban area and its surrounding setting, both natural and man-made. Very, very important because, as we know, the suburbs are developed so uh, quickly and jeopardize a lot of values. The various functions that the town or urban areas has acquired over time. Various functions. The function is changed, but also we should pay attention which historical function is important for this structure when we analyze the values of city space. And it is also one of the principles of this Toledo Charter, and a threat to these qualities would compromise the authenticity of the historic town or urban area. So it was very clearly said about. The participation and involvement of the residents are essential for success of the conservation program and should be encouraged. The conservation of historic towns and urban areas concern the residents first of all. This is this very important sentence from the Washington Charter. So there is not an the Washington Charter supports the fundamental principles of sustainability and the connection of growth to social development and adaptation of historic towns to modern life. This is a document from 1987, so looks like modern it was. It is. We still use for some principles from this document. And the La Valletta principles, also our proud, I say our, this is Scientific Committee for Historic Towns and Villages, ICOMOS. We were elaborated during the discussion, during 3 years discussion, principle for the safeguarding but also management of historic cities and urban areas. The document is primarily, yet, as I said, dedicated to practice, to management of change within the city structure, management of change. It was also some very important issue in maybe 10 years ago. So, what is important in this document? The impact of what we would like to show as a new aspect of protection of historical part of the city. Impact of the industrialization, enhancement of interventions in the evaluated historic districts resulted of gentrification, the tourist attraction, the general trend for commercialization in order to cope with global competition, of course, migration, also in this time, very important, just visible, mega constructions, housing, the services of the globalized economy, transforming the historical and urban landscapes. So we are talking about landscapes. The document about so-called tour was elaborated parallelly. And also risk of unexpected natural disasters, social and political conflicts, and as we are facing today, climate change. The document, as I said, parallel elaborated with principles from Valletta principles. It was not our document, in sense that we are only participate as in some consultative group of expert members of civic e-commerce. But what we can underline, what is important of this document, that it is a document which emphasizes the perception of landscape and the shaping of urban interiors, taking into account the cultural values of the city space. This is the crucial, the very important cultural values of the city space. All valuable heritage, not only monumental, of course, we forgot about many years ago, which are perceived as a main factor of urban design creation. And it is also very important concept for the city protection. Yes, because values are factor of urban design creation, design planning, project design. And of course, Genius Loci and the individual character of historic urban structure, which should guide any decision as regards the planning and designing of interventions. So it is very strictly connected with urban design, with our architects and urban planners activity. And at the end, the so-called SDGs goals, Sustainable Development Goals, United Nations Agenda 2030, and very important goal 11, make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. And this document gives us a proposal for the holistic approach. We were just hearing about this holistic approach in urban conservation, also in protection of monuments, with important impact for heritage. Heritage as a driver of sustainability, it was the ambition for 2017 and 2018, but it was 3 years before the subject of civic annual meeting in Syros. And we have we published some issue of this statement and give support of this international UN agenda, and also to formulate some important issue in SDGs, sustainable development goals. This idea places particular focus on heritage, not for monuments, of course, the heritage, tangible and intangible, of course, as sources of social cohesion, factors of diversity, and drivers of creativity, innovation, and urban regeneration. So the role is huge. The role is very important, and we have to take it into consideration as architects and urban planners, also conservators of monuments, or conservators or preservators of city space, city structures, because the town is not for conservation. The towns should be developed. What I noticed showing my second book about heritage and development. Because heritage is not just monuments, it's identity, it's something more. It's also enabled with not with intangible value. It is a repository of historical, cultural, and social memory, preserved through its authenticity, integrity, and sense of place. So I think that I can finish at this moment. Sorry of my English, because I don't speak in English for so long time that it needs practice. First of all, maybe I think that now it will be better to speak in Italy.
No, it was very good. Thank you very much.
So sorry, and thank you very much for inviting me for this conference, for that I can see also this activity of ROCHEMP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Klowska, for your inspiring presentation. It was very, very interesting to learn about all these charters. And well, I kept some keywords. Cultural heritage is irreplaceable. Quality should always be preserved. Residence, first of all, and genius loci is important and should be preserved.